Blade Runner 2019. This is from Titan Comics, and I actually put off reading this series for a good long while. I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. Like, I freaking love the first one. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. The video game that was based off of it, I'm not sure if anyone remembered, like the point and click PC game, is one of my favorite games ever. I was kind of apprehensive about picking this up just because, like most comic books nowadays, it seems like publishers just basically take an IP with an existing fan base already, and then they kind of just pervert it to tell their kind of politics and push their agenda and stuff. And I figure maybe Blade Runner 2019 is going to end up just like that. I will say this cover is really, really good with Art Gem. I love Art Gem's styles. I mean, I've never seen him actually do any action scenes. I don't think he's ever done interiors. He just does covers. I kind of want to see like how this style would work like in an action scene. Just once, I kind of want to see how it will look. But his covers are amazing. We have a female protagonist, and then even in the beginning, it says that she was the greatest Blade Runner ever, and I'm just like, oh no, is she gonna be like one of those? Like, I don't have any problems with strong female characters. Hell, like my top 4 favorite comic book characters of all time are female, so I have no problems with female leads. That's fine. It's just that lately in comic books, they are perfect. Not just comic books, but even movies. Like, look at Rey in Star Wars. Like, she can do no wrong. Like, she's literally the greatest at freaking everything ever without any kind of training whatsoever. And I thought, is this what this is going to be? Like, where Ash, like, is just able to solve all the cases and stop all the replicants and just do everything without any kind of obstacles or any kind of, like, slowdowns whatsoever. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out, no, she actually gets her ass kicked physically. As well as just like she gets to run around and stuff like that on this case multiple times. I mean, she's not a bumbling idiot. She actually is smart and she's tough and stuff, but she has her obstacles that she's struggling to overcome. And I was like, all right, that's cool. We started off with Ash basically, quote unquote, retiring a replicant, and I mean, she basically like tortures these replicants. So she tranks this guy, and she basically kind of taunts him and says that she's gonna like cut off his eyes and stuff and sell it on the black market. But she gives him a knife, and she basically dares him, like, if you don't want me to take you piece by piece, then, you know, here's a knife. Why don't you, you know, jab it in your eyes and see if you have the gall to basically kill yourself, because if you don't, I'm going to cut you piece by piece and I'm going to sell you for money. And the guy basically jabs a knife in his eye, and he rips him out, and he basically like crushes them in front of her and bleeds to death. And she, of course, is pissed off because she's kind of surprised at first. She's like, man, I didn't think he had the balls to do it. But she's also kind of like bummed because she's like, man, I really could have used that money. We cut to her eating at a Chinese restaurant, because we always got to do that, just because Decker had one scene where he ate Chinese food, so now we always got to have a Chinese scene in this series. She's kind of pissed off because she's like, damn, I could have really used the money from selling out the replicant parts. Anyway, she's eating at this Chinese restaurant, and then her boss shows up, and her boss basically says that I have a job for you. Basically, you have to help this guy named Alexander, who runs this Canon Corporation, which is basically kind of like a second Tyrell. Like, you guys remember how big and popular Tyrell was? Well, this is kind of like Tyrell's competing company. Like, they're their rivals. Basically, the case is that this guy's wife and daughter has disappeared, and they have no idea where the wife and daughter is at, and they need someone to track them down. And of course, Ash is like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm a Blade Runner. My job is to hunt down replicants and retire them. My job isn't to go on, you know, a wild goose chase trying to track down some politician's wife and family who may or may not have just abandoned him. Like, the boss basically forces her and says, like, I know about your situation, like the thing that you're hiding from everybody else, and the only reason why no one else knows about it is because I haven't told them. And you're basically going to do this favor for me because I've been doing this favor for you by keeping your secret. And we're going to find out what that secret is just a little bit later. So, of course, Ash arrives at this guy's house and basically just kind of asks what's going on. Apparently, the wife and daughter were at a party, and then they left with their chauffeur, and they never arrived. back. And Ash, wonders, could they have abandoned you? The guy's like, no. Could the chauffeur, like maybe the wife is having an affair with the chauffeur and the chauffeur like left? No. So then it's like, okay, well, it's looking like a kidnapping. So she basically is able to track down where the car crashed, the spinner where it crashed, and she finds the chauffeur dead, and she is trying to gather more clues when all of a sudden we just hear her screaming in pain, and she's like struggling to move, and this like confused the hell out of me. I was like, did I miss something? Is there like a panel here that I'm not getting? But thankfully, that's the reaction we were supposed to have. We're supposed to be confused, like why the hell is she just screaming out of nowhere? Because at first I thought like, oh, she sees a dead body. And then she screams, and I'm like, does she care that much for the chauffeur? Because throughout this whole series, like, she basically doesn't give a shit about anybody. Like, she's very cynical. And I was like, why would she care that the chauffeur is dead? And it's like, oh, no, wait, it's because there's something actually wrong with her. And what's wrong with her is that she's actually paralyzed. As a child, she had some kind of like mess up with her back, and she can't walk. As you can see here, she has these like implants in her back, which basically help her move. But these are old and they're kind of beaten down, and they need to be charged every like 24 hours, I think. And of course, nobody but her boss knows about this, because if anyone found out, she would basically lose her job, because no one wants to put their trust in a handicap Blade Runner, like a Blade Runner who like at any moment can just basically drop to the floor and not be able to move. Despite being the best Blade Runner that there is, can't be a runner if you can't run, basically. I like just like the way this thing looks. Like it's pretty cool. I like how they did use like a wheelchair for the aesthetics. But yeah, she basically hooks herself in and recharges, and that's why she was so pissed off earlier at the replicant for basically stabbing out his eyes so that she couldn't sell them on the black market, because that's what she does. She kills replicants. She takes their organs and then she sells them for money, which she then uses to buy energy to power up her back brace, whatever you want to call it, so that she could move. We have a few issues of her doing detective work, and this is what I like about this series, is that it's not straight up action scene, action scene, action scene, action scene, or even action scene a little bit downtown, action scene downtime. There's actual detective work involved. That's like my favorite aspect about Blade Runner, is the detective work. I'm a huge fan of like noir films, so I like detective stuff. I like the whole mystery thing. I like gathering clues. That's one thing that I wish, speaking of comics, I wish Batman would do more. I wish Batman would stop, like not stop altogether with the action, because I mean it's Batman, he's a superhero, there has to be action. But I wish they would really play up the whole fact that he's the world's greatest detective more. Because Batman like never does any detective work. Oh, if he does, it's like a panel or two, and then it's straight on to action. It's just kind of like, no, man, I want to see the detective stuff. Like I want to see this guy in this high-tech suit going around using them to solve cases and gather clues and stuff. The Telltale games for Batman, like I liked the detective aspects from it. Like I liked how he had those gloves that he would like move over items to kind of scan things, and you have to piece clues together. Like I wish Batman did that more. I was really glad that they actually kept that here for Blade Runner, where she's actually doing detective work. She's gathering clues. She's interrogating people. She's like basically like one person will lead her to another person who will lead her to another person, and each one will give her like vague clues, but they don't really add up, and she's got to put these pieces together. So she talks to this guy who does like jobs for like biopsies and things like that. He also, it turns out, he does like skin work for the replicants. So this guy right here is a replicant, and as we can see, he's actually aged. And she's kind of wondering like, how is it that you look the way you do? Because replicants don't physically change. They have a short shelf life, but they don't like actually grow older with their shelf life. So this guy basically explains how the surgeon, like what he does is he'll actually age up the replicants physically, so that it allows them to blend in with the humans a lot more. So she basically tries to gather more clues from this old man before the old man tosses her out a window. And she's on her way basically to go interrogate the surgeon even more, when another spinner shows up and shoots her. that's kind of how I'm gonna leave it. I kind of just went over the first 2 issues. Issue 3 is already out, and I thought about doing a review on that issue, but then I was like, nah, because I want you guys to read this. And if I did a review on the second to last issue, I would already kind of spoil everything. I kind of kept this as minimalist as possible. Like, there is actually a second subplot to go along with this. So it's not just her as the main character. She's like the main character, but there's also another quote unquote main character. There's basically 2 main characters in this, and I didn't even touch on the other main character. I'm not even going to say who it is because saying who it is might give some spoilers, but I'm not even going to touch on that because I don't want to ruin this whatsoever. So I try to show enough to kind of get you guys interested, but not enough so I'm spoiling anything. So I kind of pretty much just talked about the first 2 issues. But there's, of course, the 3rd one, and then there's the 4th one. That's going to conclude everything. But I really recommend picking it up. I think it's a really good series. The character is I like her. I mean, she's cynical. She's a bitch, but she knows how to get the job done, but not in a way where it's just like everything comes easy to her. In fact, the fact that she's like struggling to take on this case and like get through it, and she has like more obstacles thrown in her way, especially in the 3rd issue, which I'm not even gonna mention because I don't, again, spoilers. And just like the fact that she has a weakness, and that weakness is that at any moment she can basically become paralyzed. Like, this is a character like I can root behind because not everything's being handed to her so easily. Yeah, this is a really good series. I really like it. I wish I had actually picked it up earlier, but I'm glad that I actually did eventually cave in and get it. And yeah, I really think you guys should go check it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please, if you guys haven't already, subscribe on the YouTube. I'm trying to hit 400 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the year. I'm not sure if I'll make it. I'm about 350 something, 360. So maybe if I'm lucky, I can get those 40 subscribers by the end of the year. Hit the bell for notification. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below. I also am uploading this on BitChute, so if you guys could please subscribe on BitChute. I don't have, here's the funny thing, I have like almost no subscribers on BitChute, but I get way more views on BitChute. I don't get really all that much engagement though, so if you guys can, hit the thumbs up if you guys are watching this on BitChute, if you guys can hit the thumbs up, if you guys can comment down below, that'd be great. But I don't know, it's just something kind of interesting I noticed. I get more engagement and I get more subs on YouTube, but I get more views on BitChute. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I also have a Twitch if you guys are interested in that, and of course I have a Twitter, which I like almost never use. I really gotta fix that. But I'm terrible at social media. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.